Politicians are bought and sold. They give to the rich as they take from the old. They give to the rich as they rob from the young. On the end of their lines, at the point of a gun.
Welcome everyone. Welcome to Deedigan, Truth versus Politics, which is a podcast stroke vlog stroke whatever you want to call it, stroke the cat, stroke the dog. I don't care what it is, but basically it's about exploring all aspects of the political landscape, both locally and nationally, and maybe internationally, and with the hope of learning from wonderful people. This is the third one, but this week we've got a lovely active person that I've known for some years. Gary Pearce, how are you, sir?
I'm very well, Ed. How are you?
Agreeing to be on this. I'm very well. I've had a little bit of cancer, and hopefully that's been sorted by the wonderful crew at Bath Royal United Hospital. I want to say thank you to them, the radiotherapy department, because I keep getting it wrong and saying radiology because I'm a bit of an idiot. However, National Health Service, what a wonderful thing, Gary. Only yesterday it was announced that there's going to be a new general election. There's going to be a general election 4th of July. What are your thoughts, sir?
My thoughts are that the Prime Minister of our country came out and stood in the rain with no coat on and said Labour don't have a plan.
Yeah, does beg a belief. When you say Prime Minister, you mean our unelected Prime Minister, which is part of the problem, isn't it? We need to change the political system, because that whole idea that whatever people say, you vote for a party, you vote for a Prime Minister. You don't even vote for your local person, because if you vote for your local person, if they're a member of a political party, they have to toe the party line, so they don't get a say anyway. They don't represent the needs or the views of the constituency. They just en masse vote. Michelle Donnellan's a fantastic example of that, because if you remember, I don't know if you remember when she first became elected, I think she was elected, was it with David Cameron? And she was standing strong with Theresa May. She's been through a whole, and what's his name, the buffoon?
Which one?
Which one's a good answer? Boris. She's been standing with these people, which are very different. It makes you kind of wonder what her moral or her political ideology is, or whatever. It's like, what? So you don't see a massive difference between Theresa May and Boris Johnson, just morally, just what they say, how they conduct themselves, what their histories are. It's like, no, and this party politics doesn't work, because you're in bed, you're tarred with the same unfortunate brush. So I don't think he is the Prime Minister, and this is part of our problem. What are your thoughts on politics in general? How are you feeling?
I personally respect the Prime Minister for being the Prime Minister. He isn't an elected Prime Minister by us. If you were a Conservative Party member, it might be slightly different. Actually, I think it might have only been the MPs that were voting, not the party
I think
members.
you're right. It gets worse, doesn't it? It gets brilliant that you're defining it, and you're such a reasonable guy, because I don't think it's okay, and I have no respect for him at all. Look at his history, look what he has tried to do, look at what he did during COVID. I mean, eat out to die out. What an absurd, totally capitalist, totally conservative perspective. That's like a world pandemic. They don't really know, or so they said, don't really know how bad it was and how bad it could get. But whatever happened, they just wanted to keep the wheels of industry, or more likely not industry, the wheels of the capitalist system greased, and all that money for PPE, all the different people that were on a fast track, a lot of them connected to politicians. I don't know if it was all parties, but definitely the Conservatives. There's £14 billion that he's prepared to write off. I have no respect for the guy at all. I think it's appalling. In fact, I go so far as to say we shouldn't have dislocated, distant. Yeah.
It's going to be all right.
People, I don't know, but maybe it will. People that have gone to private school and or private boarding school are not the type of people that should be in power. But you're really reasonable. This is why I want to talk to you. You actually give, I'm not being unreasonable, I'm just being exceptionally to the point and truthful. You you have respect for him and he's the Prime Minister. What else? Come on,
No,
talk
no,
too
I
much.
have respect for him as the Prime Minister.
Okay, yeah.
He got the job. He may be unelected, but he's not the first Prime Minister to be unelected.
No, I think it's a terrible system.
Certainly not
yeah.
in the last 10 years.
Yeah, no, I agree.
And so, yeah, I think the office, I think, comes with some level of rudimentary respect. You know, as a citizen here who votes, the person who we elect, I'm willing to give the time of day to.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, every time I do, it backfires.
Yeah.
It very rarely pays off.
Yeah.
And yeah, I have, you know, I could talk about Rishi Sunak for a while. I don't know if you saw the privatisation thing that happened the day before. They sneakily decided to sell off the remaining part of Royal Mail.
Oh, no, I didn't see that. Well done.
Yeah, I think for £13 million, a pittance, to a Saudi royal. Yet another issue with,
Genuine sigh of just, it's disgraceful.
Yeah, it is disgraceful, but I've kind of had the impression that pretty much all this year, Rishi Sunak has been aware he's out the door.
Of course.
And so has been just sort of
he's not done,
trying to
but
trying to shovel some dirt before he gets it done.
100%. So, to tie up a few loose ends, and when I say loose ends, I mean a few loose contracts. Because that's all they're about. They must, when they're in their sort of private schools, whether it's Eton, Westminster, or wherever it is, Winchester or wherever. So, and now today we're going to work out the best way to pull the wool over the eyes of the electorate and do different sort of subterfuge classes. You know, like if you were in the special forces, you would do sort of, you'd go out on Brecon Beacons and you'd have to survive with, you know, a toothpick and an alligator's eye or something. When you are being groomed, and I say that advisedly at these boarding schools, to become, so say, future leaders of our country, you must have the element of compassion and empathy. It will be destroyed in you because you've been essentially farmed out by your parents to be raised by strangers. You must have all sorts of emotional trauma, attachment issues. You can just see it, you can smell it almost off them. So wrong people to be making the decisions or even to do it, but they're more than happy. Sell it all off, the electricity, the water, all the things that don't need to have any type of competitive. They don't need to. It'd be great. We should all own it. Why would we put up not unnecessary, make it for senior citizens, for those who are most challenged, to feed or to heat or to provide clean water? It's just like, what are you talking about? How it's interesting that there hasn't been a revolution yet, and that's my fear. That's why I'm getting involved in politics, because I actually read right across the board all the different areas, and I'm thinking the last thing that this country needs is violence. It's been steeped in violence for centuries. It's made its reputation and its wealth on violence. The last thing we need is for people in this country to turn on each other, to, and of course they're being taught to obviously blame the other, the handful, relative handful of people that come across in boats who are refugees and all sorts of immigrants, and anyone other than the real people that are culpable for all these disgraceful decisions which have just gone to feather their nests. Go on, you should talk more. You say a few things, then I get carried away.
I don't want to interrupt you.
No, you should interrupt me. You should do. No, well, I don't know if it's interesting, but it's what I believe and what I know from the work that I've done and the positions I've been in. It's definitely something I've come to now go, yeah, actually, it doesn't matter who you vote for. They are literally all the same. Keir Starmer, I mean, discuss.
Oh, well, I mean, that's an interesting subject. I, myself, I have issues with Keir Starmer, lots of people do.
Yeah.
If I didn't live in the constituency I live in, I would be voting for him.
You would?
Yeah, absolutely.
Regardless of the fact that he has literally sold out every type of principle that you would perceive that the true Labour Party would hold.
Yeah.
Dear.
Yeah, absolutely.
You don't care that he's done
Absolutely.
it?
Oh, that's an entirely different question.
Okay, good.
So my-
Good.
my-
Why do you become a politician?
My opinion is
You'd be a nice guy
when
politician.
when it comes to voting,
Yeah,
when it comes to political activism,
yeah,
when it comes to engagement, you have one vote every 4 to 5 years.
yeah,
So you should do that.
yeah.
And then the rest of the time is the time for activism.
Uh-huh,
It's the rest
okay.
of the time to think about what you'd like, to
Yeah.
try and get the changes you would
Yeah.
like to see in the world. And then when it comes to election time, you are faced with a binary choice.
Yeah.
I mean, not a binary choice, there are several options.
Yeah.
And everyone's welcome to vote.
It's pretty
for whoever
binary.
they
There
want.
isn't many options. Even it doesn't matter how many different parties crop up. Essentially, it's an either or. It's very similar to the United States.
Yeah, I would agree. You've essentially got the case of you can vote for the people who are most likely to win.
Yeah.
You can vote for the people who
Yeah.
are second most likely
Yeah.
to win.
Yeah.
Or you can throw your vote away in one of 1,000 different directions.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah.
So it's different in each constituency, of
Yeah.
course.
Yeah.
We're lucky enough we live in a place that's relatively marginal.
Yeah.
You know, it would only take one election cycle and things could look very different.
Yes, yeah. But that's interesting because I used to vote. I don't expect you to tell me who you vote for. That's not what I'm interested in. I used to vote Lib Dem. I would not walk across the road to spit on one of those people. Now, it sounds appalling, but it's true. Because I have at first hand witnessed the underhand, spineless nature of how they operate at a local level. It's like, wow. And then, of course, on a national level, as soon as they got into power, need I mention Nick Clegg, student loans, etc., etc. Appalling, just appalling behaviour.
I disagree.
Well, you thought that was
I
okay?
disagree. No. But I wouldn't say that, when looking at the last 15 years, was what I would call
Yeah.
appalling behaviour. I would say,
Comparatively, you mean?
yeah, I
But
think.
you thought that getting into power on the idea of, or running an election on the idea that you were going to abolish student loans as soon as you got any power, it's like, I've got the...
I have a radical opinion on that. I
go on
think
then.
they did a pretty good job on student loans.
Who did?
The Lib Dems.
In what way?
In the way that what they said they wanted to do was
Yeah.
abolish the fees
Yes.
that I think Labour had brought in, the £3,000 cap, as it was.
Yeah.
They didn't do that.
Yeah.
What they did manage to get out of the Conservative
Yeah.
that they were in partnership with was they reduced the level at which you pay it back.
Yeah.
They reduced the level at which you start to pay it back.
Yeah.
And they increased the time you have to pay it
Yeah.
back. All of those are good things. They are good things. They did not abolish the £3,000 a year fee. However,
Yeah.
I mean, do we want to talk about Tony Blair as well?
Oh, it's awful.
I mean, yeah.
Oh no, listen, I'm not advocating Labour.
Oh no. I
No,
get.
I mean true Labour, possibly back in the day, but why it came about, the reasons. But this is the problem. It's interesting because, bless you, you're a very reasonable person. It's like you ran an election on you were going to abolish. If you want to go into coalition. Thank you for those words with me, and you depending on it to have some sort of thing. You're David Cameron, whoever, yeah. The very thing I'm going to say is, well, you know our bottom line on student loans. You're going to have to suck that up, big boy. You're going to have to abolish them because otherwise it will look like, which it does look like because it's true, we really haven't got any moral fibre or a backbone. And as soon as it comes, okay, we're just going to tinker around the edge. You're still going to charge them, don't worry. It's just at a different time level. It's like, nah, man. That's why you can't be ever voted in again. Carry on.
Then let me ask you, what do you think? Is it possible to have moral fibre but not a backbone? Because that would be my diagnosis.
Yeah,
of what
that's
interesting.
interesting.
They wanted to make a change.
Yeah.
They couldn't make the change.
Yeah.
And this is it. When for me,
Well, make you deputy prime minister.
For me.
Yeah. And you can have a chauffeur-driven things, and you can be ministers, and a couple of other people can be ministers. Sounds good to me. We're never going to get a chance to be in power again. What do we need to do? Sign here and sign away. Carry on.
yeah, I think it's much easier to get what you want out of a Liberal Democrat than it is out of a Conservative.
In what way? In what way would you? What have they ever done? Literally,
Well,
it's like what the Romans,
Well, I'll
what
show
the Liberal
you.
Democrats
I'll
ever
show
done
you.
for us.
What did the Liberal Democrats want out of the Conservatives? What did the Conservatives want out of the
Yeah.
Liberal Democrats? The Conservatives got what they wanted from the Liberal
100%.
Democrats. The Liberal Democrats did not get what they wanted from the
Exactly.
Conservatives because it's harder to get what you want from the Conservatives.
No, it's hard if you haven't got back, but this is where the backbone comes in. It's like, I'm not moving on that one, David. Okay, so if you want me to be part of your coalition thing, this is we can't possibly. Do you understand? We can't possibly. You're gonna have to suck it
Yeah,
up.
and I would shake your hand as David Cameron and say, great, yeah, we'll do that.
Yeah, go on then.
Right?
Yeah.
And then I'll go behind your back and
That's up
destroy
to you.
that.
I will shame you for doing that. But what you won't do to me and my integrity is say we're running on the idea that we're going to abolish student loans. Now you know that thing you want to do, and PR as well, proportional reputation. Reputation. Well, it is reputation. It's Freudian.
Or AV as we got the choice
it's
for.
appalling. Well, just hold up. Just hold. You have to hold fast when you have an opportunity like that. If you've got a backbone, because that's the problem with Lib Dems. Not only they're known as fence sitters. Is exactly.
Yeah.
But remember, they are the liberals.
This is why I would rather have them in power.
Oh no, God no! Please never. They're never going to get in power.
I
They will
personally
never ever get in power.
I mean, I could agree with that.
Yeah, they
I
won't.
could
So
very
they,
happily agree
they
with
won't ever. So what we've got to stop doing in this constituency is going, because if you look at their material, at every election, it's like, oh, Labour will never get in here. It's like, okay, well, let's not have Labour then, because
Yeah.
they've proven themselves not to
I
be.
think
Yeah.
the wrong year for that conversation. There's absolutely no point in talking about the different people that we could theoretically
Yeah.
have at
Yeah.
polls, when instead what we need to do is build that ground movement in the years before,
Yeah.
and then on election year have it already.
Yeah, you have to start it. So I've just had enough. That's why I'm going to
No,
run.
and that's fair.
That's why I'm going
I
to
don't want
run.
to stop you talking.
No, of course, no, don't. But what you say, I get, look, man, this is fantastic. I agree. You know, I'm running purely to make these points.
Yeah.
Purely to say, look, if we do the same thing every time, we'll get the same results. Yeah. Duncan Haynes, Liberal
Yeah.
Democrat MP, decent
very
guy,
well.
whatever, lovely guy. Talk to him, all that sort of good
Swinson.
stuff. Gets the next thing, it's Conservative. They don't care. Not the Lib Dems, they're just lucky to get in every now and again. But actually, if we want, just like if we wanted to grow a crop, we'd have to prepare the ground, plant the seeds, and nurture it. At this political juncture in my life, it's like, right, never consider it. I've never considered. I've advised at ministerial level, been at the Home Office, done all that sort of stuff for free. Here you go, I get it. You don't work with the poor communities that I do up and down the country, you have no real knowledge of it. So you're asking me to come here to tell you what it is, what I believe needs to happen for community cohesion, right? I'm going to tell you that because it's really important as me as a spokesperson for the people that I was representing, not as a political candidate, but as a person, a professional.
As a human.
Exactly, working in that arena, working in which I chose to do, and I've worked in prisons and I've worked in all the mental hospital, worked in all those arenas. It's like, right, you keep giving this information to these people, thinking, right, well, they're going to be the ones that are going to make the decisions, and ministers, this is how you deal with children, whatever. Not a bit of it. Now it's like, right, what they really need, what the people need is they don't believe they've got a choice. They're taught they haven't got a choice. If you look at Liberal Democrats literature, they'll say you can't, Labour will never get in it around here. It's like, if there's only three choices, no one in their right mind, and I don't blame voters for making the mistake of who aren't rich, who vote for Conservatives, because there's so much money putting in to get them to think that way. Of course, that's why they'll do it.
They have the best propaganda system.
Of course they do. Of course they do.
In the
of course.
country,
But
that's
if
for sure.
people don't believe in truth, then if don't observe truth and see how much child hunger, the rise in child hunger in this country is an absolute abhorrent. What was the word? Let's just say it's not nice.
I don't think
Yeah.
educating people on that,
Yeah.
and this is my own take,
Yeah,
and
no,
it's a
of
radical
course,
one. I don't
yeah.
think educating people on that will make much difference.
Yeah.
Because there are plenty of people who vote Conservative every time
Yes.
that
Yeah.
you can speak to, are very switched on, understand all of these issues.
Yeah.
And they will agree with you. And
Yeah.
when the news happens, they're stood side by side viewing it the same way you
Yeah.
are. However,
Yeah.
when it comes to election time,
Yeah.
the radio waves go out
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
and
Yeah.
receivers switch on.
But I would say that that's absolutely true. It's a great observation. The only point of it is, though, never before in the human history have we had such vehicles or such
Very true.
right. So social media and the way the having the, and that's why we do these things. They're so cheap and they're so affordable. That means everyone should do it. Everyone should get into the idea of expressing their opinions, their real beliefs. It's not as opposed to having them browbeaten into them, going, well, I live around Chippenham, so it's either Conservatives or Lib Dems. It's like, nah, man, vote independent. Let's see what happens. Can you imagine the situation? Can you imagine me being in Parliament? Think about that. No, think about it.
What is that electoral school that all prospective MPs have to visit before they step into the Houses of Parliament?
What are you talking about?
You're not aware of this?
Why, wait a minute, I'm getting educated every second of the day.
There is a class that MPs must pass before before sitting in the House of Parliament.
Really?
Yeah.
Donna, do you know this?
My thought was always that clearly that's where they stick the needle in.
Oh yeah, so they become docile. What happened to people like, what's his name? They must hate Dennis Skinner.
Oh yeah.
And what's his name recently got voted in Rochdale? What is his name? George Galloway.
Oh God, yeah.
Yeah, but still.
Not the biggest fan of Galloway.
No, I'm advocating anyone. I'm saying, and he's been in all sorts of...
Yeah, I'll tell you what, he's done some good work in the past, this George Galloway. He's done an awful lot of rubbish.
But that's what I'm saying. So what we have got to do, it has to, the peaceful revolution has to start somewhere. If we want a society that's more equitable, and if they believe, they keep doing it because they're able to keep doing it. They're able to keep doing it because people think, watch the literature, see how much stuff has come through from the Lib Dems already saying, oh, and they say every election, Lib Dems, your only chance alternative is Lib Dems here. It's like, but nothing interesting. You're not going to say anything of any quality, but even more importantly, I've seen firsthand how appallingly they run the town council. Don't know about the rest of the town councils. I'm going to travel through the constituency and find out from good people like yourselves how they perceive these people have been doing what they've been doing and have they been doing it properly. But what are the true known needs of our constituents, as opposed to, oh, my party says we've got to vote this way. I don't really care.
I think when you come to the true needs of constituents, you will probably find they're the same up and down the country.
I think you're right, but I want to hear them say it.
Yeah.
I want them to understand, not patronising, I'm not being disingenuous, like a few people I could imagine, I could describe, but I'm saying, right, I want to hear it, I don't want to presume it. We had a little table debate last week, and it was so informative. It's like, if I would have written, it was a bingo game, if I'd written down what I think they would say, I would have been right. But it's nothing like hearing it from real people and having an absolute voice to say it.
That's very true. I mean, we've discussed before, and we broadly agree with the idea of community assemblies.
Oh my God, 100%. 100%.
Yeah, and the idea of the...
Can you explain a bit more to the...
I mean, it's a pretty simple idea. So essentially, you would have a community assembly, if you imagine a council meeting that the public are invited to attend.
Yeah.
And so we have we'll call them an administrator, our elected official. In the current system, our elected official is elected and then decides on decisions and implements them. With a community assembly model, instead what you have is the community making the decisions and the administrator facilitating those decisions, simply putting them into practice.
That's, my friend, that's exactly what I believe should happen. And that goes right across the board, doesn't it? It's on a regular basis. It's about budgets, local budgets, on all sorts of issues on local
transparency.
And absolutely, and regular. So it's not like, wait 4 years, 5 years, and they get away with this, I'm going to do this. Like, no. It's a regular consultation. It's an ongoing thing that people can feed into. They can collate information and they can vote on a regular basis. And like you said, because it's exactly the opposite. The tail is definitely wagging the dog in Chippenham Town Council. Yeah. I don't know about other town councils. I have worked with a few of them, but I would say in Chippenham, it's appalling. It's like, wait a minute. I think the people think they're voting in these councillors who are then going to say, right, this is what my constituents say, and this is what we'll all vote as councillors. You, chief executive, which we don't really need, and you think we need to implement these. It doesn't happen like that. He tells them. He tells the you can't respond to this. Don't respond to this. No. We need to check this out. It's like, no. Wait a minute. We've written to all the councillors over the years, right? Over the recent years. Don't get a reply from the councillors. Get a reply from the chief executive, even though some of the issues that we have are with the chief executive. Why? What sort of democracy are we that a paid servant of the people? And again, I was told by one of the councillors, we do not need in Chippenham a chief executive. We pay him 85 grand. I'm going, surely we can use that like for the folk festival, stuff like that. Yeah. Right? Just that if we don't need one, we don't know. Not all councils don't have them, so obviously we don't need one. It's a choice. So if we don't have a chief executive,
What do we do with it?
right, we have a town clerk that does it. But the point of the matter is, the councillors need to be able to, or people believe they're voting in councillors who are going to represent them. Don't. They just sit there, unless they're Nick Puntis. He just goes on his computer while they're getting complaints. We've been at a meeting recently. They're getting complaints, letter after letter of complaints about the thing, not listening at all, just going through his. We're watching him going, wow. He's going through his calendar on his thing. He's going through his emails, not listening to one of them. He couldn't have heard them. He didn't. They were only sent in the day before. Citizens' assemblies, my friend. Why don't you get? You ever thought about getting involved in trying to establish one?
About 20 years ago, I was involved in a project Noam Chomsky was organising.
Absolutely. Get Noam Chomsky, everyone. What an absolute inspiration.
He is a great guy. I mean, nowadays he voices some opinions a lot of people disagree with. To be honest, there seems to be something going on with a lot of people at the moment, which is a whole other issue.
Yeah.
Dawkins has become rather religious adjacent, which is odd for the man who wrote the God Delusion.
Yeah.
It seems that it's a whole other issue. On the subject of citizens' assembly, so I was a big fan of Chomsky's Project for a Participatory Society, I think it was called, the PPS, which, sadly, died a small death. It's an interesting project, and it's where I came up, where I heard the idea first.
Yeah.
As I say, I am a big believer that when it comes to election time, it's a case of knuckle down, make the choice. It's not even worth, and this is my own opinion, it's not even worth trying to rock the boat at that moment. It's really not. I think rocking the boat, I am involved with a group of people who very much dislike Keir Starmer. As a result, very much dislike the Labour Party. Won't be voting for the Labour Party. Huge movement, huge movement.
Yeah.
I think that's a shame, personally.
Yeah, but I can understand it.
I can understand it. Of course, yeah.
What other stuff you got coming up? Aren't you going to you're setting up a?
Yeah, so I'm running a series of interviews at the moment.
Yeah.
Hoping to get the great Deedigan involved. That should be good.
Yeah,
he's a hard one to catch on.
not only that, he talks for England, Ireland, Scotland, Wales, and a little bit of the Isle of Man. You have to. Yeah, I think he's an idiot.
Could you tell me some more about that?
No, I couldn't possibly.
I mean, my whole thing is about trying to open up conversation.
Yeah.
I want to enable people to have those conversations, and to be able to create a safe space for speculation where we can look at new ideas about the future, and just discuss them without getting antsy with each other.
Yeah, no, I think that's a really valuable. It's invaluable what you're talking about. I would be very much I'd be delighted to be a guest of yours, as you know, but I would also be delighted to spend some time trying to establish a citizens' assembly in this town.
Yeah, I think that's a really interesting project.
Yeah, actually. Which let's look at this, what that would take and what the infrastructure. Anyone interested in joining us in this endeavour, please contact the Ed Deedigan Truth versus Politics address and stuff on the Facebook and what have you, because not only are we looking at representing this wonderful area of this country as an independent, listen to royal I, as an independent candidate, for the reasons I will keep stating, but I'm more than into the idea of the decimation of all the political parties. No, the dissemination of power to the people so that we have more representation, true representation, bottom up, grassroots. People actually, because when you actually ask the questions, when you are in, it's lovely that you're going to do your podcast thing. It's like when you start asking the questions, it's I agree with you in lots of senses that the answers are similar, but it's reassuring.
Oh yeah, no, I
You know
mean,
what I mean?
The answers are often similar up and down the country, but that doesn't mean that any individual person doesn't have huge amounts of context that other people don't have
That's
access
it.
to. Actually, having those conversations, allowing other people to put the unspoken thoughts that they've had you know, because we all have unspoken thoughts,
Yeah.
you know, things that we've never even fully thought.
Yeah.
And when someone says one thing that, you know, they are aware of, someone else says something they are aware of, it takes the thing you were aware of
Yeah.
and perhaps can combine it with the things you weren't aware of before, you know, those half-formed
Yeah.
concepts, and
Yeah.
create something
and
new.
develop something. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's a great idea. Right. Okay. We can leave it there because poor old Lauren. I bore her a lot. I bore her a lot. I bore her a lot. You're a wonderful human being. Let's move. I mean, I'm free to talk to you anytime you want to, but let's seriously put a time aside on a regular basis, and with you know, a collaboration of like-minded people, to see what a citizens' assembly would look like, and let's just get on with it. Let's not wait for permission or because I'm absolutely had it up to here with the old party political nonsense. The party is over. Gary Pearce,
I think you're lovely too.
you're a lovely man. That's a wrap. Thank you.
On the end of their lines, at the point of a gun, and we'll work till the end of our days to keep the few in their comfortable ways. We'll do as we're bid, 'cause we're programmed that way till the switch is switched and we all have our say. So sleep in peace